What if your tattoos get you turned away from a hot spring? Or your kind gesture of leaving a tip could get you chased down the street? Japan, a land of breathtaking beauty and fascinating contrasts, is also home to some of the most unexpected cultural taboos, from avoiding physical contact to sacred places that women are not allowed to enter. And even number taboos, each rule tells a story that is both mysterious and can make you extremely awkward. Stick around as we uncover 15 surprising taboos you'll want to know before you visit Japan. The sixth thing may shock you. Imagine you're in Japan, eager to experience a traditional hot spring, only to find that tattoos might be a barrier. In Japan, tattoos, known as irizumi, have historically carried a stigma due to their symbolic associations, including links with certain groups like the Yakuza or organized crime. This connection has led some establishments, such as onsens, hot springs, gyms, and pools, to restrict entry for individuals with visible tattoos. During the Edo period, which spanned over 260 years from the early 17th century to the mid-19th century, tattoos were sometimes used to mark individuals, influencing cultural perceptions that persist today. However, younger generations increasingly view tattoos as a form of self-expression, and many facilities now welcome tattooed patrons or offer solutions like covering small tattoos with stickers. If you have tattoos and plan to visit Japan, planning ahead is key. Research tattoo-friendly establishments or look for those accommodating international visitors. Embracing these cultural nuances ensures a respectful and enjoyable experience in Japan. But tattoos are just the beginning. Did you know that in Japan, leaving a tip could cause more confusion than gratitude? Let's dive into this next surprising cultural twist. You finished an amazing meal in Japan. The service was flawless, the staff attentive, and as you reach for your wallet to leave a tip, the waiter chases you down the street to return every single yen. Confused? That's because in Japan, tipping isn't just unnecessary, it's considered awkward or even offensive. While many cultures see tips as a sign of gratitude, in Japan, they're often misunderstood as a critique, implying the service wasn't good enough to stand on its own. This cultural norm reflects Japan's deep-rooted values of respect, pride, and fairness. Workers take immense pride in delivering excellent service as part of their role, and their wages already reflect that effort. Any extra payment disrupts this balance and can even feel patronizing. Instead of leaving cash, some locals and visitors show their gratitude with origami, a carefully folded paper crane or flower. These handmade gestures represent Japan's appreciation for authenticity and beauty in small details, making them more meaningful than money. Have you ever encountered a situation where your cultural habits are distinctive with local customs? Share your story in the comments. We'd love to hear about your experiences. Did you know that in Japan, placing food on top of your rice could be seen as disrespectful? For many Japanese, rice is more than just a side dish, it's the essence of the meal, deeply rooted in centuries of tradition. Handling it carelessly might disrupt the harmony of a dining experience steeped in cultural values. Rice symbolizes purity, life, and balance in Japan. For millennia, it has been revered as a sacred gift from the gods, serving as a cornerstone of both spirituality and agriculture. Unlike in other countries where rice serves as a base for sauces or toppings, Japanese tradition calls for rice to be enjoyed in its purest form. Each grain is to be savored, a tribute to its quality and the effort required to produce it. Mixing food with rice, while common elsewhere, is seen by many traditionalists in Japan as a breach of dining etiquette. This practice is thought to compromise the clean, simple flavor of rice and disrupt the carefully designed harmony of the meal. Japanese cuisine emphasizes separate dishes, each offering distinct flavors that complement one another. While some younger and urban Japanese take a more relaxed approach, traditional or rural settings still value this rule. Ignoring it may not result in overt discussion, but subtle disapproval can be telling. If you're lucky enough to sit at a Japanese table, remember to keep the rice clean and enjoy each dish separately. Did you know that in Japan, a friendly pat on the back or even a handshake can feel like an invasion? But before we get started, I have a 10-second request for all of you. If you can help us out, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll always be the first to get our new videos and exciting content. This would mean a lot to us. In return, we promise to keep making this show even better for you. Deal? In Japan, personal space is as revered as a temple shrine. It's as if every individual carries an invisible aura of privacy that others instinctively respect. Physical contact, especially between strangers or acquaintances, is avoided. A warm handshake, often the standard greeting in many cultures, can be seen as overly familiar here. Instead, the Japanese bow, a simple yet elegant gesture, takes its place. The depth of the bow varies depending on the relationship and context. Displays of affection, even between close friends or romantic partners, are also restrained in public. Though modern Japan is far removed from the era when public kissing could land you in jail, a law that was only repealed in 1945, expressions of intimacy like kissing or hugging in the street still carry a subtle stigma. In Japan, displays of affection remain discreet, almost like whispered secrets among the cherry blossoms. For travelers, it's crucial to adjust to this norm to avoid uncomfortable situations. If you're meeting someone for the first time, resist the urge to extend your hand or give a friendly pat. Instead, bow gently and offer a polite smile. By following these unspoken rules, you demonstrate your understanding and appreciation of Japanese customs, deepening your connection with the people and the culture. Have you ever experienced cultural differences around personal space or public affection? Share your thoughts in the comments. And stay tuned as we delve into the next fascinating taboo that might surprise you. One of the most controversial taboos takes us to sacred sites, where women are explicitly prohibited from entering. How can such restrictions still exist in a country celebrated for its modernity and progress? Japan is a land where the ancient and the modern coexist, but some traditions remain untouched by time. One of the most striking examples is Mount Almin in Nara Prefecture, home to the sacred Sanjo Temple. This revered site, recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage location, explicitly prohibits women from entering its grounds. The reason? Maintaining the spiritual purity of the environment. Signs at the summit starkly warn no entry for women, a reminder of rules that date back centuries. Another example is Chima Island in Kyushu, a cultural heritage site with similarly rigid restrictions. Here, only men are allowed access, and even they must undergo a clean ritual before setting foot on the sacred ground. This exclusion extends beyond sacred sites to Japan's national sport, sumo wrestling. Women are not allowed to participate or even step onto the sumo ring. These practices are not limited to religious or cultural spheres. Japanese civil law has historically imposed restrictions on women, such as the outdated rule prohibiting remarriage for 6 months after a divorce. Although some progress has been made, with the period now reduced to 100 days in most cases, these laws reflect the lingering weight of patriarchal traditions in Japanese society. And what can we learn from the resilience of these practices, even as they face increasing scrutiny? Up next, we'll delve into another surprising taboo: how certain numbers and gifts in Japan could bring more than just bad luck. Let's get started. Japan's traditions can surprise even the most seasoned traveler. Did you know certain numbers and gifts can bring bad luck or even offend? Understanding these taboos can save you from unintended missteps. In Japan, numbers 4-shi and 9-ku are avoided because they sound like departure and suffering. Many buildings skip the 4th floor, and rooms numbered 49 are rare. Similarly, gifts carry symbolic weight. Komesukushi are taboo due to their connection to suffering and departure. Kitchen tools signify severing ties, while fragile items like glass represent weak relationships. Chrysanthemums or tea, often used in funerals, are inappropriate for celebrations. Gift-giving in Japan is a reflection of thoughtfulness and respect. Choose practical items like food or alcohol, and avoid unlucky numbers and symbols. Presentation matters, so wrap gifts carefully, avoiding mourning colors like white or black. Knowing these nuances helps you appreciate Japan's culture and avoid awkward moments. Next, we'll explore how simple gestures, like sitting posture, can impact your experience in Japan. Have you ever faced a gifting dilemma abroad? Share your stories in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights. Picture this: you're in a formal meeting in Japan, sitting comfortably with your legs crossed, when you notice subtle glances around the room. What seems like a harmless posture in most places carries an entirely different meaning here. But why? Here, sitting with crossed legs, especially in formal settings, is often perceived as casual at best and disrespectful at worst. This posture, while comfortable for many, can send unintended signals of defiance or lack of seriousness. Historically, crossing one's legs was associated with the cheapest, who reportedly used the pose to attract clients. Although this belief is no longer widespread, its echoes persist in certain traditional circles, reinforcing the posture's negative connotation. So what's the alternative? The Caesar position, sitting on your knees with your back straight and hands on your thighs, is the gold standard in formal Japanese etiquette. While it might take some practice for those unaccustomed to it, this posture reflects respect, discipline, and an understanding of local customs. Every little gesture counts here, and what may seem like a casual pose can cost you more than you think. You're on a crowded train in Tokyo when you spot an elderly passenger standing nearby. Instinctively, you rise to offer your seat, but the gesture is met with hesitation or even discomfort. What just happened? In Japan, public transportation etiquette is grounded in equality and respect for personal independence. While offering your seat might seem like a universal act of kindness, in Japan, it can be interpreted differently. The assumption that someone needs help, especially if unspoken, may feel patronizing or unwelcome. Priority seats, marked by clear signage, are specifically reserved for the elderly, pregnant women, children, or people with disabilities. If these seats are occupied, it's customary for other passengers to remain standing rather than rearranging seating dynamics. Foreign visitors often find this cultural norm surprising. One traveler recounted standing in a packed subway, unsure whether to offer their seat to an older passenger, only to observe locals remaining seated without a second glance. Another shared an anecdote about a polite refusal from an elderly woman who reassured them with a smile, showing no discomfort standing. If you do feel compelled to offer your seat, there's a subtle way to do so without creating awkwardness. Simply stand up and move away, as though you were preparing to exit the train. That way, your gesture will be received without misunderstandings or condescension. Up next, we'll explore another intriguing aspect of Japanese culture: smoking rules that seem contradictory yet strictly enforced. Did you know that in Japan you can smoke in some indoor bars but not in certain outdoor spaces? It sounds contradictory, but Japan's smoking laws are as intricate as its tea ceremonies, and understanding them can save you from confusion or fines. Since 2018, Japan has implemented stricter anti-smoking laws to combat the dangers of passive smoking. Smoking is now restricted in public institutions like schools, hospitals, and government offices. Violators face hefty fines of up to $700, and organizations failing to enforce these rules can be fined up to $600. However, the application of these laws is far from consistent. For example, while smoking is prohibited in some outdoor public areas, it is still allowed in certain restaurants, bars, and hotels, provided they meet ventilation requirements. This inconsistency has sparked debates, with advocates for stricter rules arguing that indoor smoking, even in designated areas. Current regulations create confusing situations for residents and visitors, who often do not know where smoking is allowed. Japan faces the challenge of balancing public welfare with individual freedoms without completely destroying social customs when trying to maintain smoke-free spaces. The country walks a fine line, protecting health without imposing restrictions so severe that they curtail individual freedoms or change traditional lifestyles. In Japan, karoshi, or departure from overwork, is a grim reality rooted in an extreme work culture. It began during the economic boom of the 70s and 80s, but turned toxic in the 90s as job insecurity forced workers to endure excessively long hours. Today, over 2,000 departures each year are linked to overwork, with many employees working more than 80 additional hours a month. The government has implemented laws to cap overtime at 45 hours per month and launched initiatives like Premium Fridays to promote work-life balance. However, societal expectations of loyalty and staying late persist, slowing progress. Grassroots advocacy and a younger generation's demand for change offer hope, but the deeper challenge lies in helping workers rediscover life beyond the office. While laws provide a foundation, shifting cultural norms is essential. Stepping into a home Japanese with shoes on is like bringing the outside world's chaos into a sanctuary of calm. Removing shoes before entering a home is a custom in Japan that dates back over 2,000 years. It isn't just about cleanliness, it's a gesture of respect for the private sanctuary that a home represents. The practice originated as a way to keep interiors fresh during Japan's humid summers, particularly to protect the delicate tatami mats used in traditional homes. Tatami, made from woven straw, can be easily damaged by hard soles or dirt, so leaving shoes at the door became essential. For visitors, forgetting this rule can lead to awkward moments. One tourist recalled accidentally stepping onto a host's tatami mat with shoes, only to be met with gasps and hurried gestures to step back. Another shared how impressed they were by the organization of Genkan spaces, where even shoes seem to align with the harmony of the home. In places like ryokan's traditional inns or even some workplaces, shoe removal is expected. Specialized toilet slippers are often provided for bathroom use, emphasizing hygiene in every detail. Next, we'll explore another intriguing aspect of Japanese life: why eating while walking can make you the center of attention. Have you experienced unique cultural practices like this in your travels? Keep watching as we explore more surprising insights about taboo in Japan. In bustling cities like Tokyo, street food stalls tempt you with the aroma of fresh takoyaki or yakitori. But if you're tempted to eat while walking, think twice. In Japan, this seemingly harmless habit is considered disrespectful. Why is this, and what does it reveal about Japanese culture? Unlike many other countries where eating on the go is a normal part of daily life, in Japan, the act of eating while walking is frowned upon. The reason lies in a cultural emphasis on mindfulness and consideration for others. The sound of chewing, the smell of food, or even the sight of someone eating in a crowded space can be seen as disruptive. Japanese people believe meals should be enjoyed in a designated place, where one can focus on the flavors and maintain a clean, orderly environment. This unwritten rule extends to public transport. Eating on trains or buses, unless specifically allowed, is rare. Disapproving looks or even a polite but firm reprimand are not uncommon for those who break the norm. Chopsticks might seem like simple utensils, but in Japan, how you use them can carry powerful meanings. One of the most important rules is this: never use chopsticks to pass food directly to another person. Why? The origin of this custom is deeply rooted in Japan's funeral rites. During cremation ceremonies, chopsticks are used to transfer the bones of the deceased. Passing food in this way evokes the same imagery and is considered a dire omen, almost like wishing harm upon the person receiving the food. Another mistake to avoid is sticking chopsticks upright into a bowl of rice. This gesture closely resembles the practice of placing incense sticks during memorials for the dead. If you're dining with locals and make these errors, you risk not just embarrassment but possibly offending your hosts, which could result in social rejection. Given the deeply communal values influenced by Confucianism and Buddhism, respect and mindfulness at the dining table are non-negotiable. Therefore, if you are planning to visit Japan, it is important to remember that chopsticks are only for eating and should not be used for any other purpose, and should not be used to point or pass food. Following these customs will not only help you avoid trouble with the locals, but will also help you appreciate the rich culture and deep respect that the Japanese have for food and the traditions surrounding it. So be careful and enjoy the experience without breaking any rules. What if throwing away a doll could bring you misfortune? In Japan, this belief isn't just folklore, it's a deeply rooted cultural taboo. Dolls hold a special place, often believed to possess fragments of their owner's soul. This is especially true for dolls with human-like features, such as glass eyes or intricate details. Disposing of these objects carelessly, like throwing them in the trash, is considered disrespectful, as it's thought to invite bad luck. One legend illustrates the gravity of this belief. A family moving to a new house left behind a beloved doll. Not long after, they began hearing footsteps and eerie laughter in the night. Days later, the doll mysteriously reappeared on their doorstep, soaked from the rain, as if it had returned on its own. For this reason, many Japanese people turn to traditional rituals to properly part with dolls. Temples across Japan offer ceremonies known as ningyo-kyo, where dolls are purified and respectfully burned or buried. These rituals, rooted in Shinto and Buddhist practices, are meant to honor the doll's spirit and release it without harm to the owner. Foreign visitors are often intrigued by this custom. One traveler described how a Japanese friend refused to throw out an old doll, instead taking it to a shrine for a purification ritual. Another recounted their surprise at discovering that such ceremonies exist, realizing the cultural reverence for even seemingly ordinary items. If you're visiting Japan and happen to buy a doll, think twice before tossing it away, because it might never truly leave. Whistling at night, what could go wrong? In Japan, this seemingly harmless act carries ominous warnings. For centuries, Japanese parents have cautioned children against whistling after dark. What might begin as a simple bedtime encouragement to keep things quiet has its roots in deeply intriguing folklore. One popular belief suggests that whistling at night could summon snakes. The sound, reminiscent of a snake charmer's flute, is said to attract these slithering creatures. According to legend, a venomous snake might respond to the sound, making an unexpected and unwelcome appearance. Japanese folklore also includes a curious belief about whistling at night. It's said that whistling in the dark could attract mysterious or mischievous spirits. According to traditional stories, the sound of whistling might lead to unexplained disturbances or encounters that people found unsettling. Some also suggest that, in the past, nighttime whistling could invite unwanted attention, as it was sometimes associated with secretive communication. In rural areas, a late-night whistler might have even been misunderstood, leading to suspicion due to local customs. This seemingly small taboo highlights the profound role that tradition and folklore play in Japanese life. By honoring these customs, you connect with a culture that values the harmony of nature, community, and the unseen world. As we wrap up this journey through Japan's fascinating taboos, which of these surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more cultural deep dives into the world's most intriguing destinations. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot to us. Click on the video that appears on your screen right now. I'm sure you'll love this content. Comment below about the next country you want to see featured on our channel. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Thanks for being with us on this great journey. Leave your thoughts in the comments and like to help us. Remember to subscribe for more. See you soon.